All right, and I believe that we are live. Welcome everyone to the BFM report. This is my first one, so y'all gonna have to bear with me. I have no idea exactly how all of this stuff works, but I did want that to keep me from being able to do lives today. So if you guys have any suggestions, please make sure to put it in the comment section because I'll be looking at these comments after today. But as far as I know, y'all should be coming to me through a few audiences: my Substack, my Facebook, and my YouTube. So if I'm doing everything correctly, welcome. My name is Jesse. I do run the BFM report. I am an actor out here in Los Angeles under the alias Nico Neal. I am from Delaware. And if my Delawareans are watching, shout out to you. You know who you are, you know what we do. They are afraid of us all over the world, thanks to Joe Biden, the man himself. Anyway, I decided to start doing some lives because there was a lot of excuses as to why I didn't want to do lives. A lot of times, people get nervous, they don't want to be on their lives and talk and get to meet people and stuff. And I am one of those people, introverts. But I know that a lot of people have requested that, hey, why don't you go live more? Why don't you, talk about some of the things that, you talk about online, do it live. So in my efforts to overcome some of my fears, here I am in the flesh, y'all. So bear with me. We're going to try to get through my first live today. Those of you who are witnessing this right now, trust me, it will get better. I'm going to be working on it day by day. Mr. Turk, what's up? The blonde critic, welcome to my first live. Um, I appreciate you guys being in here today. So we got a lot going on around the world. Wouldn't you agree? We got a lot going on around the world. And one of the things that concerns me is this whole Haitian deportation situation. And I talked about this on my Substack a little bit. Um, when did the United States get to this point where they start to dehumanize humanity, dehumanize people? I don't know. I don't know. But you would think that, things would get better, that people would kind of see folks for who they are, judge them by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. But here we are, we're living in these times. And not only that, it's costing the American people millions, millions of dollars. I believe that they have now transported 1,200 deportees to Liberia. And apparently, there is this agreement between the USA and Liberia where they are paying them millions of dollars to do this. Um, and not only that, I believe that others were transported to Equatorial Guinea for another specified amount of money. So you're talking about millions of dollars that we're paying as taxpayers, right? To go to foreign countries. Now, MAGA was screaming about this, right? They were screaming about this. This is, fraud. We need to drain the swamp. All of these people taking our money, this, that, and the fourth. Well, looks like our commander in chief is doing exactly that. And yet, the mainstream news is not even talking about it. The mainstream news is too afraid to cover it. Why? Because their jobs are on the line. Their whole credibility or what they do is on the line. It's something when you sit back and you actually see how many people are actually bought, how many people are actually bought in this administration, and the fact that they can't even make um, common sense decisions for Americans. It's almost as if we are living in a quasi government. You know what I'm saying? That we are held accountable to protect and obey, even though they're being inhumane, even though they're disrespectful, respecting our constitutional rights, even though we know that what they're doing is literally just breaking law. There is nothing the American people can really do about it but scream. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a system set up where other people have the power that we give them. However, we have to trust these people are going to do the right thing with the power that we give them. And 9 times out of 10, they don't. You know what I'm saying? And that is what concerns me about this entire government now, because we used to hear about a few bad players. Oh, there's a few bad players in the bunch. But now we have a whole group. Like, where do we go after this? You know what I'm saying? Where are we supposed to go after this? Um, Mr. Turk said one thing Trump did right, they expose who they are now because they are not afraid. That is very true. That is very true. Um, so how do we, that's why I'm saying, like, they've exposed who they are, but it's like, what do we do with that? What do we do with this information now that we know who these people are? Because these people seem to be like they feel as though they're going to be shielded in somehow. And let's say that Trump does give them a pardon. You know, how do you hold these lawmakers accountable? You know what I'm saying? I do believe that they won't be able to go back out onto the streets as normal. I do believe that they're not going to be able to just have normal lives. Like, none of these people who, after this term with him, go out to try to live a normal life will never ever be able to reform back into society. I mean, if you look at Caroline Leavitt, you know, what's she doing? What's the latest on her? Don't nobody know, right? She's in hiding. You know, you think about uh, Pam Bondi, right? You know, she was out there, face of the whole DOJ, right? But now the Epstein files and all of this stuff, nowhere to be found. It's almost like after they get finished, Trump does this vanish. Oh, they'll be working in special units, special teams, and they go into hiding. They go into, I don't know if they got, you know, some sort of cave or some underground tunnel that they're housing these people so they don't talk to the public or they don't get out or they don't write a book or whatever. But he has a thing about information. And this is the biggest thing that's going to destroy this administration, because a lot of fear, a lot of threatening is going into people not spilling any information. You know what I'm saying? Not only to journalists, but to people who are on the internet, people who are just putting up posts on their social media accounts. They're going after people because people are dropping information. Look at what just happened with our sailors in our navy. You know, pushed overseas for 260 days, no port call. You know, 200 days without a port call, I believe, because they were already out there. That's the funny thing, is that the USS Abraham Lincoln was already out at sea when it was called into the war with Iran. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were already out there. He just never called them back to the port. And then when things started to go crazy and they started to complain back home and word got back here, all of a sudden they're sending out another ship. You know what I'm saying? They're sending out another. But all of this is supposed to be a hoax, right? All of what we're saying is supposed to be lies. All of what they're just exaggerating. You even have MAGA like blaming our soldiers, blaming our troops for the conditions that they are in. Like, what? How you going to blame me for the conditions that this government has put me in? You, even if that was the case, why would you send out soldiers unprepared? Why would you send them out with malfunctioning toilets, no sanitation, no ways of like getting hygiene, because you decided to bomb all of the postal services over in Iran, not thinking, hello, don't we need to send packages? Don't people need to get care packages, or our troops need? Y'all just over there with no plan, just over there just bombing everything. And now that your soldiers is out there stranded because there's no internet, there's no way for you to send them anything. Y'all have to literally go out there to them. Now they're reaching out somehow, getting back home, getting the word back, and y'all are calling it all a hoax. Like, they're going to put their whole service, they're going to put all of their military experience, all of the everything that they love about they just going to put all that on to do a hoax, y'all, just to tell a joke. So information is the biggest thing that they're trying to hide from the American people. It's just obvious. Um, and normally, when the United States deports someone, you would expect them to deport them to the countries that they're naturally from. But the Trump administration is increasingly doing something different. They're taking the deportees to countries that they are not from. So, a U.S. deportation flight carrying 20 people, they arrived in Liberia under a new agreement, allowing Liberia to accept as many as 1,200 third country deportees over the next year. But according to the Liberian officials who spoke with Reuters, only 15 people got off the plane. And Reuters reported that five others, three Cuban men, one Brazilian man, and one Cameroon woman, they just refused to disembark. And sources told Reuters that five were told to be flown back to the United States. And instead, the plane decided to fly them to Equatorial Guinea. Now, sources have also said that they were forced off the aircraft there. So they didn't drop them off on the first stop because they refused to get off. So they told them to fly them back to the United States, and instead they flew them to Grenada. So Reuters reports that they're now being held alongside more than 30 other people previously deported to the United States to Equatorial Guinea as well. Um, this is just crazy. Now, the thing about this is just the amount of money that it costs to do stuff like this is waste. And we got people who can't eat. We got people, who are getting kicked out of their homes. We got a homelessness crisis out here in Los Angeles. We got an affordability crisis around the world. And we have an administration that is giving millions and millions of dollars to other countries when we are just struggling right here at home. And that is a concern for me. And if it's a concern for you, I want you to continue to follow the BFM report, continue to go to this Substack where I will post a lot of the sources and stuff of the information that I find. I write articles on there. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as well, where I also post everyday, daily information that I come across that affects things like this. But the Haitian one with the TPS, and then you have also Mexico, who are asking for their people to be brought back home, and yet the United States is flying those people to Guatemala and Honduras because they have these contracts set up with these people where they've given them millions and millions of dollars to accept third world, third world deportees, you know, on behalf of the money. And their excuse for all of this is the fact that they want them to be so far from the United States that they can't re-enter. This is the whole defense behind why they're doing this. And this is the whole defense as to why we need to give them millions and millions and millions of dollars to do this, which I think is just a bunch of malarkey. So thank y'all for tuning in to my first live. I promise I'm going to get better at this stuff. I just wanted to come in and give this a shot for my first time. And if you like this live, please leave your comments, leave any suggestions y'all may have down. And as we learn how to work this new software, we will get better, I promise you. But thank you guys for tuning into my first live, and y'all be blessed. And I will talk to y'all later.